guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Rachel, aka Ray MUA, and on today's video we're going to be talking about highlight and contouring for both more feminine and more masculine features. So today I already have my foundation ready, my eyebrows done, and some eyeshadow so I don't look completely dead. So for this, if you want to grab your concealer, your contour powder, your bronzer, or a darker stick foundation, we're gonna get it going. All right, ready? Let's do it. I also thought this shirt would be perfect, you know, because the lines, the highlight, and the contour. And also, can we talk about this shoulder moment I'm having? Yes, shoulder pads, yes. I love shoulder pads. Maybe it's the like 80s baby in me, but isn't it so good? So good. Okay, cool. So I went ahead and I'm gonna keep my bangs back because I am gonna be referencing a lot, talking about like the forehead area up here. So I wanted to make it as easy as possible for you guys to see. I swear to God, at some point I will have my bangs down. Sorry, Brittany. Brittany's my hairstylist, I love her. If you're in Minneapolis, go see her. Or Eau Claire, because she lives there as well. Anyway, okay, so first I want to talk about the why of highlight and contouring. I know that's been like a buzzwords, since there's more than one word, but it's been a very popular topic of makeup conversation for the last few years, thanks to Miss Kim Kardashian. So I'm gonna really try to not throw a ton of shade, which LOL contouring joke. Oh boy. I guess I just wanna say the thing that's frustrated me the most about this whole contour craze is that I guess beauty has kind of made it almost impossible to feel like your face shape is normal, because so many people are just completely changing their face shape because they think that they have to, and that's not necessarily the case. With the whole highlight and contour, it's just really kind of softening any harsher edges or brightening any darker areas, or just accentuating the natural shadows that are already occurring. You don't want to completely overdo it, because remember, you do have to go out into the world and interact with people. And so if your nose is like contoured, so it like, you know, in photography and video, it's basically non-existent. But when you're talking to someone one-on-one, like in the before times, you're gonna be able to tell that your nose is hella contoured. And we don't necessarily wanna do that. And I also really want people to embrace, you know, the beautiful aspects of themselves. Your nose is adorable. You were given that nose for a reason. Embrace that nose. Like, for example, I really like my nose straight on. I don't super love it from the side, but it's more of like a French or a Roman nose, so, you know, there we go. I work with it. I don't necessarily contour it. I will add a little bit of bronzer so my nose doesn't just completely disappear, because I do like to highlight the high plane of my nose. So just kind of what works for me. So, oh my God, quick story. I was in Germany a couple of years ago, and walking around the like city square in Munich, and walking around, everyone's speaking German, and I hear a girl say contour, and my head whipped around so fast that I nearly snapped my neck in half. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't escape it. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's insane. Anyway, let's go ahead and get it going. So I have what would be considered more of an oval face shape. So I'm wider up here, and then I kind of come down, and then like this is the widest point of my face, and then it kind of comes down to a point here. So I will be highlighting the higher planes of the face here, and then bringing in kind of like that natural shadow area. And then I am also going to be kind of accentuating that jawline here, just because I have a little bit of width right here, and I kind of want to soften that a little tiny bit. Okay, so I'm going to be going in with the MAC Cosmetics Prep and Prime Highlight Pen. And I'm going to be starting by highlighting underneath my eye. So the shape that I always like to tell people is that you kind of want to make an isosceles triangle where you have the base here, you go underneath, take it out to your temple, and then connect it. So I'm going to start by kind of doing that. And then we're going to paint it out. And then we're going to kind of come back down, right? So there we go. So this is going to give that natural, well, not natural because we're painting it on, but we're gonna give the illusion that the cheekbone is super lifted. So I'm just gonna kind of blend it out a little bit. And sorry if you heard that, my cat decided to just get the zoomies all of a sudden. He just ate, so of course he's like Bonkers Town, USA. Cool. So then I'm gonna take my beauty sponge and I'm just gonna kind of softly pat it into the skin. And I really like the shape of this beauty sponge because it gets all the way up kind of like up in that tear duct area. Really, really nice and tight. And we're just gonna kind of pat onto the skin. And I also love doing this like after I have my eyeshadow done because it also kind of like cleans up that blown out look, which is really nice. We're just patting. The excessive powder is back. But so if you look at the difference, this side looks a lot more lifted than this one here. This looks a little bit lowered. And then especially too, like it's a double whammy with my underbrow highlight and my under eye highlight. Everything just looks really lifted on this side. I am gonna eventually talk about highlight and contouring the eyes because it's effectively the same concept, but that's a video for another day. I will say, with any and all other face shapes, so other face shapes are considered round, square or rectangle, heart, upright triangle, inverted triangle, and oval or diamond. So for each of those face shapes, you are going to highlight underneath the eye. You just might adjust how far down you need to go with your triangle, right? So if you have more of a round face shape, you would probably stop like right there. And if you have more of an oblong face shape or a square or rectangle face shape, you might go a little bit longer because your face is going to be a little bit longer. So you're still gonna get that brightness underneath the eye. You just might need to adjust it a little tiny bit. I'm gonna try to explain the best I can without having those face shapes. But what's really great is you can Google to find out exactly the placement that you need to go. But pretty much the only thing that would change is how high or low that highlight would go. But you still wanna take it back out to that hairline here because that looks like a natural progression of color. It's not gonna just look like concealer or highlighter right underneath the eye because we don't want that. We want everything to be really blended, really soft, and really cohesive. Okay, so I went ahead and did the other side. So the next area that we are going to highlight is going to be the center part of our face here. So that means forehead, bridge of the nose, the Cupid's bow, and the chin. So I like to kind of do a little flower situation there, if you could call it that. So then we're just gonna swipe on the nose. Ooh, that's a lot. Oh well. And then do our little goalpost here, and then the chin. Then we're gonna go in with the sponge again, and we're gonna press. And I like to take it up all the way to my hairline, just to blend it out there. We're gonna tap on the nose here. Ooh, child, that is a lot of highlight. Real moments, y'all, real moments. And we're gonna touch the tip. We're gonna blend that. Now I also, so I know I talked about this in my last video, but so you can see some of my capillaries here because with women, our hormones tend to kind of, you know, go bonkers. And mine are going really bonkers right now. But so we tend to get really red underneath here. So I'm gonna kind of take it up and get all up underneath here. And then we're gonna press on the chin. So if you can kind of see, I mean, everything looks really flat right now because everything is really bright. This, like, you can't even really see as much anymore. Like, unless I turn my head to the side, you can kind of start to see where I have that little inversion of my cheekbones naturally, but everything looks very flat because everything is too bright. And we want to balance that out. Now it's really important if you have a lower hairline or it's more of like kind of a square here, you really want to make sure that you are highlighting that area because you don't want that to make it look like your forehead's completely disappeared. We still want that spotlight in the center here. Now, if you like to set with powder, that's what when you would go in and you would set your under eye, basically everywhere you just highlighted, with a highlight powder. This is different than a highlighter. This is going to not be shimmery or shiny or sparkly. That is what tends to kind of confuse people. What you use to highlight around here is a completely different product. That is going to pick up a ton of light because that's really going to lift the cheekbone here. We are just adding more brightness and kind of setting underneath the eye. So I wanted to make that distinction between the two because I know some people will kind of ask me at work, like, well, aren't they the same product? And it's like, no, girl, you don't want sparkly, business underneath your eyes. I mean, if you do, go for it. I'm not here to judge you. But traditionally, you want to use something that's considered a highlight powder. So here's a perfect example. On top here, I have the Hyper Real Glow Highlighter Palette in comparison to the Sculpt and Shape Contour Palette. So these shades up top here, those are the highlight powders, and these are considered highlighters. So if you can tell or see the difference, this is gonna pick up a ton of light, whereas this is going to absorb the light. So, just for comparison. Okie dokie, contour time. So I am going to be using the MAC Cosmetics Sculpt and Shape Contour Palette in the shade Light/Medium. And you can use a bronzer for this step as well, but you wanna make sure that you're using a bronzer that is matte because matte shades absorb light. So it just kind of sucks everything in and makes it look that much darker, if that makes sense. It's going to make it look a lot more natural. It's going to kind of pull everything in and it gives the illusion that you have more natural shadow. So I'm going to be using the 168 brush from MAC and I'm going to do what I normally do and just kind of like tickle them like I do those keys and just go. And then a trick that I like to do is make a fish face. So where that fish face ends kind of lets you know where you need to stop contouring. So we're gonna start at the handy dandy tragus right here and end right about where my eye is. And I'm going back and forth, but I'm also gonna swirl. Because that swirl is gonna kind of dissipate the color and make it look a little bit more natural, just kind of that really soft, I'm gonna say it again, progression of color, so it doesn't look as harsh. Now, if you like a more harsh contour, by all means, but I like to do something a little bit more everyday, a little bit more wearable, so that's why I kind of like to blend it out a little bit more and make it look a little bit softer. I'm just gonna try to check my work here because it's a little difficult in the camera. Okay, so already you can see the difference. And if I'm looking straight on, compared to this side, compared to this side. This side still looks very round and kind of one-dimensional, where this looks really cut. And we'll kind of split it here so you can see, right? Versus that. So cool, right? Now, if you have more of a round face shape, you're gonna kind of want to bring it up right underneath. So if I smile here so you can see my cheeks, you would kind of want to bring it up right underneath that really nice cheek area. And if you are more oblong, so that means it's just kind of straight along here, you would kind of bring this down a little bit more because you have a little bit more area that you need to shade and kind of bring in. If you are more square or rectangle, you would still do this area here. And then if you are more of a heart shape, you would do the sides kind of right around here to kind of bring that area in. So I'm gonna go ahead and take care of this side and be right back. Okay, next we're gonna go in and take care of the forehead here. So I keep this area open and I go right along my hairline and I bring it down probably a little bit further than I should, but I try to keep this area open because I still want that area to be lifted. Okay, pick up a little bit more color and we're gonna do the other side here. Real makeup moment time. So if you can see, went a little bit harder on this side than I did on this side. So not a big deal. We'll just take the sponge or your brush that you use to blend the highlight and we just kind of tap it on top and kind of pull it. And it'll soften it a little bit. Or you can take your foundation brush with no new product on it and kind of tap. I actually kind of like to do that anyway because it softens the look of the contour. It makes it look a little bit more natural. Marvelous. Okay, so I went up here, right? Because I have a lot of forehead space. So if you have a hairline that comes down a little bit longer, that's going to give you more of a triangle face shape, or you have a widow's peak, which then gives you more of a heart face shape, you are not going to contour your forehead because that's going to take away all of that light that we want to create in the center. Now, if you do have a little bit more real estate up here, you can kind of soften your hairline a little tiny bit, but I would still leave it a little bit brighter because we still want that brightness. We don't want our forehead to go away completely because then we're just left with like, and we don't want that, right? So it's just kind of finding those areas that you want to fine tune. And you also, if you have a heart face shape, you are going to want to blend or contour a little bit here just to kind of soften that area because it's going to go a little bit wider right there. If you have a square or rectangle face shape, this is an important step for you because your hairline should go up a little bit taller. So you want to bring that in and kind of round it out a little bit more because we want to create, again, that spotlight right in the center of our face. Now, I typically, I'll show you how to contour the nose, but I typically just kind of like dust along the top here without really creating too much of a face shape, or a nose shape, I should say. Now, I am going to show you how to do the jawline here. But so I'm going to do the same thing that I did before. Just go right there. And we're going to pop it underneath here. I'm also going to bring it up behind the ear and then kind of bring it down. Look at that. And then excessive blending time. Do you see how snatched and how cut that looks versus how soft that looks? So freaking good, man. Okay, next we're gonna go in and we're gonna contour the nose. Most people like to contour the nose to make it look a little bit more small. So with nose contour, you wanna make sure that you are using one of the lightest shades possible because we want it to look really natural, but we still want it to do its job, right? So we want it to contour. So I am going to be using this shade right here because out of the three, that's gonna be the lightest. Do I have a shade here? Sculpt. Wow, that works out well, huh? So I'm gonna be using a 221 eyeshadow brush. You could also use, I have a brush from NARS. Could not tell you the name of it, but it's like really just fits really nice here. It also works really well here, but you want to make sure that you are blending out if you have a brush like this. Okay, so, ooh, hello hair. All right, so I'm gonna go in and what we do with shadow, it's always better to add than it is to subtract. But you wanna start actually up here, because our nose doesn't start right here, right? Like it's actually up around her eyebrows. So we just kind of start pulling everything down. Okay, we're gonna go with a little bit more. And I'm just kind of mapping it out here and kind of bringing it in a little bit more. My gosh, this is so weird. I never do this to my nose. And I actually like forget like how tiny my nose can get. Oh my gosh, already. That's like crazy. But yeah, as you can see, like I'm really trying to blend it so it looks really nice and tiny. I am just blending. This is geeking me out. I don't ever contour my nose. Oh my gosh. But literally, I'm just sitting here trying to blend this out as much as possible. But like you can see, well, my lighting is like kind of bonkers right now, but like you can see that I have that shadow here. So effectively that whole side of my nose is gone, right? So we just wanna blend that out as much as possible. And then we are gonna go back in and go and like just kind of cover and kind of blend or layer. Layer is the word that I want. We wanna layer the concealer kind of on top, or you can go in the foundation as well and do the same thing. Because again, we wanna kind of hide the fact that we have powder there and that we're creating a new shape to the nose. Oh my God, this is insane. Look how tiny my nose is. Oh my God, okay. And then you can kind of add a little bit here to make the tip of your nose look a little bit more round. Oh my gosh. Oh. I'm legitimately freaking out. I don't ever do this to my nose. Ah. Oh, this is so weird. Oh my gosh. Okay. So the very last thing that we're gonna do for more of the feminine highlight and contouring is we're gonna go in with the Hyper Real palette and Flash and All. So we're just gonna kind of kiss the top of our cheekbones with that shade or with that color. So I am gonna still use the 168 brush, except I'm gonna lay it flat and do the same thing that I did with the contour. And then we're gonna buff that right on top. Super nice. Now normally I would have blush here, but I wanna kind of make sure that we're focusing more on the highlight and the contour. Ooh, look at that. Oh, look at that, it's so good, it's so good. Same thing over here. Now, and because we wanna really drive home the highlight on the nose, since we've contoured it, do on top here. Oh my God, it's freaking me out. My nose is so small. Oh, okay. And then I like to kiss the top of my forehead, my cupid's bow, and my chin. And there we go, honey. She is lifted. She is sculpted. She is fierce. Super nice. Cool. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and take all of this off, and then you can come back if you would like to see more of a masculine contoured look. If not, I'll catch you next time. Okay, now we're going to do highlight and contouring for more of a masculine face shape. So we're gonna be using all of the same products except for that shiny highlight palette. So with more of a male or masculine structure, everything is a little bit wider and a little bit further down. Whereas with the more feminine highlight and contouring, you want everything really lifted and really high. So this is just gonna be a little bit more focused downward. So everything that we're doing is going to be a little bit further down. So we're gonna start with that highlight pen. And we wanna go in really light. Okay, so we're gonna be making kind of like a Tetris shape almost. We're gonna kind of do it like this. Here we go. I don't even know what kind of shape to call that. Like a 7, like a backward 7 maybe. Let's do some on the other side here. So we're gonna go on the outside of the nose. I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna kind of blend it out a little bit. I'm going a little bit more over here. Perfect. And we don't want to take it too close to the nose because for a more masculine shape, we want the nose to be a little bit wider. But they tend to have more of a wider like nasal base. So we want to make sure that we're not taking the highlight too close to the nose. Okay, so we're gonna kind of do that here. Okay, next we're gonna go in with the highlighter pen on the forehead. We're gonna kind of do a long line here, a little bit of a smaller line, and the smallest line here to keep that really, really nice and wide. And then we're gonna do a really wide highlight, on the bridge of the nose. And don't worry, I am gonna blend this out. And then we're gonna go just really far on the outside of the cupid's foot here. Okay, so as you can see already, my face looks a little bit more wide. I am still highlighted, so the higher planes of my face do still have that brightness, but everything, it looks more, how's the word I want to use? What's the word? I don't know, wide. That seems to be the only word I can really hold on to. So it almost makes it look a little bit more square. We're not lifting all of that stuff yet, so you could almost kind of see the inverted contour. Even though I don't have contour powder on my face yet, already the shape has already changed. So we're gonna go in with the sponge and we're just gonna blend that out. Okay, now we're nice and blended. So I am gonna go back in with that contour palette and that same 168 brush. And we're going to kind of do more of like another Tetris shape where we're gonna kind of bring it down, bring it out, and then kind of bring it down a little bit more. Because remember, we wanna almost kind of pull everything down. Underneath here, kind of frame that. So already, you can see if looking straight on, everything is a little bit further down, where like on this side, I still have that focus of that lifted, kind of more angular cheekbone area, where this is starting to pull down a little bit more. Okay, and I'm just gonna kind of map it out right now, and then we'll go in and like really make sure we blend everything before I move on. Okay. Gonna look a little crazy because it's not blended out. Oh, isn't this so fun? I'm making the ugliest faces right now. But isn't this so cool? This is why I love makeup. Like you can do so much with like just freaking shadow, man. It's so cool. Okay. Okay. So you can see this area is really open here and here, right? So if we want to make it a little bit more natural, a little bit more blended, I'm gonna kind of go in and do that. And if we really want to accentuate the fact that we're kind of changing this face shape, we can go in with some highlight powder and go underneath and kind of fill in that area to really drive home the fact that we are trying to drive our chin down to be a little bit wider and a little bit more masculine. Yeah, okay. So then we're gonna go in a little bit more contour powder and we're gonna do kind of like right above the eye here, really bring the edge of that hairline in, but not bringing it down too far. We're almost kind of connecting to where we started with the cheekbone contour, but not too far down. Just kind of blend it out here. Look how long my face looks. This is nuts. Crazy, 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 crazy. Okay. And then just because I like to, I'm just gonna touch a little bit along my forehead here. Just because I want it to be a little bit wider, a little bit flatter. Don't wanna be as round. Crazy, okay. Okay, next we're gonna do the jaw. And you can do this for both more feminine and more masculine contouring. If you do have a beard, since you already have that volume, you don't really need to do this. You can go a little bit further down. I love that every time I film, the sun changes, and I had to like already close the blinds, but like, hello. And we're gonna take it up back behind the ear and pull down. Okay, so I did switch brushes. We're gonna use the 221 because we're gonna get inside of our Cupid's bow, and we're also gonna widen the nose here. So I am gonna use a little bit kind of like of both here, not a ton. I'm gonna go in the center of the Cupid's bow. Really kind of blend that out. I went in a little hard with the color. That's okay, we're gonna soften that a little tiny bit because now I kind of look like a cat. Okay, next we're gonna do the nose. So I am gonna use that Sculpt shade. And just like what we did before, you wanna start up out here in around your orbital bone. So, but we're not gonna bring it in, we're almost gonna blend it more out because we want the shadow to be more out here versus bringing the shadow in. And you see, like I almost started to go in a little bit more. Crazy. Okay, so we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. Try not to put the palette in the camera. All the pretty faces that we make. Okay, I'm gonna blend this, BRB. Cool, so we are nice and wide and blended. Now I am gonna go in with this 170 S brush, and I'm just gonna kind of press into this because since I'm changing more of my face shape because I'm not naturally this square and this long, I wanna make sure it's as camouflaged, hello words, camouflaged as possible. So no new product on this. I'm really just using what's left over from when I applied my foundation. But yeah, there we have it. Isn't that crazy? It's so fun. Freaking cool, man. Freaking cool. There we have it, friends. Highlighting and contouring for both more feminine and more masculine looks. I hope you had fun learning about this and found this illuminating. If you have any ideas or have any other questions about this look, or if you would like to see anything else specific, let a girl know in the comments. And as always, I would like to end this video by asking, how did you show up for yourself today? I'll start. I went to the grocery store to grab myself a sandwich for lunch that I'm gonna eat right after I'm done filming this video. I also slept in, but I still let my body wake up naturally. And I went and stood outside in the sun because it's Minnesota and we haven't had the sun in a while, and I just kind of like photosynthesized, if you will. So make sure that you show up for yourself today. Make sure you give yourself grace. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye.